Hi everybody. We're going to look at all the river traffic along the South Fraser Arm near Steveston. In the initial section, we will be looking at mainlands and BC ferries maintenance yards. We're first looking at sand and gravel. In the previous video, or the earlier videos on the dredging, I said that mainland sand and gravel, this is where they would dock barges, and actually I got this just the other day, and they were actually having a barge and unloading it. And you can see it was really tipped on one side. So the front end loader here is basically unloading the sand and gravel onto the dump trucks. So I thought we got a good section of this actually doing it. There's lots of times you go by there and they're just not there. So this, I happen to catch it. And the main thing with a lot of the river traffic, this is taken all through the summer because 90% of the time you go down on the South Arm there and you don't see any traffic at all, major river traffic at all. Oh, we're now coming on to the BC ferry maintenance yards, and there are 3 ferries in. That's the most I've ever seen. Usually I only see 1 ferry, but here we have the Northern Adventurer. That is the smaller of the ferries that go up to the north. There's 2. There's Northern Adventurer and Northern Expedition. This is, I'm not sure which ferry this is. I know it's a Queen C-class ferry. There's 5 of those, so one of those was at the maintenance yard here. So, sorry about not giving the actual ferry. And this is a Salish class ferry. There's 3 of those. They're really new. They do all the Gulf Islands. They go from Tsawwassen to the Gulf Islands. They can run on both LNG and diesel. Here's the Northern Expedition. Now the Northern Expedition is usually here in the winter because it's the bigger of the 2. So I think in winter when they don't have as many people, they usually keep this down here. So you often see this in the dock. In this section, we'll be looking at the 309 dredge. Some of the technical detail of the 309 is that it's a 4,600 cubic meter trailing suction hopper dredge. So what that means is that when it dredges out the channel, it actually carries the sand on board, where it's then pumped ashore directly usually at somebody's site, or they do. I believe they also have a holding site in Mission somewhere, but I'm not sure on that one. Before they got the 309, they would have to dredge out the main channel into a holding pit, and then from the holding pit they would use an underwater holding pit, and then or underwater transfer pit would be a better way of putting it, then pump it ashore using a cutter dredge. So it was a multi-stage process where this one can do once. And the nice thing, when they get the sand, when they're selling the sand, this is a good market for that, they can go directly to the site and dump the sand directly to the site, thus saving a big cost in trucking. So if you they probably, as I said, they use this trucks for small sites, but for major earthworks and all that along the river, you want to have that be dumped there. That's a major saving and cost. So I used to work I used to be an IT guy and for a heavy construction company, so I kind of know how that goes. So that's the ticket. Oh yeah, before I end off this thing, I'll put a link down to the dredging, which has a whole bunch of more information on the dredges and shows the Columbia as well. In this section, we'll be looking at small pleasure craft on the river. Oh, I definitely like this center cockpit. I mean, they've been closed. Normally the center cockpit is open, but there they've gone to trouble of enclosing it all which makes sense for BC weather. So we kind of zoomed in on that one. Here's a small trawler. You see a lot of these in the Fraser here. They're quite interesting. And a little bit of background of and that's on the other side of the mountain. So we got a bit of that's Mount Baker. It's a pretty good shot of Mount Baker. Oh, this is really interesting here. This fishing boat, by the looks of it, she's about 50 feet. And I would say the sailboat that it's taking up, which is tied alongside, is about 32 feet. Yeah, they removed the bowsprit, and it's a canoe stern. And a transpond, I definitely say that was a West Sail 32. That's my best guess. And again there, we looked at a bit of the background here. Oh, that's a really nice big trawler. I would say that trawler is about 52 feet by looking at it. This is the final section of part 1, and here we'll be looking at tugs on the river. And here we have the Captain Cook. That's quite interesting because this actually is owned by Lafarge, which is a concrete company, a big concrete company that does concrete for many roads. So they must have this tug just for their concrete barges. Actually, there's a concrete plant not far from here. There's another tug. Going down the river, they're traveling quite fast because they're not pulling anything. And you can see the difference in the speed. Like this tug is coming up the river, it's fighting the current, going up there, and it's also, you can see the cable there, so it's pulling something. Hey, do you want to say hi, Miss Piggy? Hi! I'm a good pussycat. Yummy, yummy. Yeah. Yeah, it's pulling a sand and gravel barge. So that must be going up to, I think that would be going to mainland sand and gravel there, which you saw at the beginning where they unload it. So, and it looks like they keep the front end loader on the barge at all times on these barges, which makes sense. So you got it there for loading the sand and gravel and there for unloading it. Yeah, and there's a bird on the sand deal. I want that birdie. Yummy. Oh, there's a speedboat going on there. The far side of the channel is for traffic going up, and the close side is for traffic going out. So here we pulled back. I've zoomed out a bit to give you a better view of the tug. It was quite far away and was on maximum zoom, so I couldn't quite make out the name, so I couldn't get any information on that. And there you get an ideal so you can see, yeah, this is a good shot because this allows you to see how far away the tug is from the barge. So you can imagine there's quite a bit of cable stretching along there. And that's the main, when you're on a sailboat, especially at night, you got to have a light because you got to remember that if a tug's coming along there and he's pulling barge, there's been cases where sailboats have gone right into that boat and demasked themselves. So here we're going to zoom in, we're zooming in on the barge there. Good view of the front end loader. Yeah, it looks like that's sand. And there's multiple birds. In fact, there's 3 birds, one just landed now. More birds for me. often when you see the tugs come up, sometimes they'll be pulling one barge, or if they're pulling wood shavings and that, there'll be two barges behind them. But this is quite unusual because very rarely do we see this configuration where we have a lead tug and then it's pulling a closed-in barge, and that should be coming up very shortly. And there it is there. Mercury. What's the name of the company? And you can see that it's got hatches on it. And it's probably carrying something pretty nasty because they're very careful, because you'll see here, not sure you can make it out, but just coming up. Yeah, you'll see you see this stern tug that's keeping, so it's keeping it very close in the track to make sure it doesn't go off the track there. And that is unusual. As I said, all the bigger ships will be in part 2, which will be up fairly shortly. Well, thank you for watching part 1. Please stay tuned for part 2. Bye!